Hey guys, Jehuty here with another Tekken 8 video, and today for you I've compiled my top 5 mistakes I see beginners make when they first pick up the game, and also a bit further into the game as well. As per usual of these videos, in the description you can find the timestamps which you want to skip to, so without further ado, let's get into it. So my first point is, don't look at tier lists. So what's a tier list, you ask? Well, a tier list is something made by pro players that groups the characters by better and worse, so from top to bottom, who they see more viable in the game. People like to put emphasis on this because pro players of course have countless of hours with the game, but what you need to understand is that this has no bearing whatsoever on your gameplay with Tekken 8, and at the end of the day it's still subjective. As an example, I have no idea where Azucena is going to place on most people's tier list, but I can tell you one thing for sure: she's going to make people's lives in lower ranks really miserable. So don't think too much about it, just stick with the character which appeals to you and then go from there. So this next point is actually the most important in my opinion, and that is people not blocking, and what goes hand in hand with that is people pressing buttons and getting counter hit launched. So what exactly do I mean by that? Let's get into it with an example. So here's a typical beginner scenario, and that is you just got hit by an attack and you want to immediately retaliate after that. And what happens is that you either get hit, interrupted, or even worse, you get counter hit and launched in the air for a full combo. So why is that so? Well, just like in real life, if somebody comes and gives you a bitch slap to the face, you have to recover from it before you can actually retaliate. Your opponent has the advantage. So in beginner ranks, when you get hit by an attack, by default you should press back to block, or press back to backdash a bit and put a bit of distance between you and your opponent. Another scenario I see people struggling with is when their opponent uses an attack that is very advantageous on block, and they block it, and you can really see that by how your character is struggling to keep it together. And here, it's still their turn, so if you want to use an attack and retaliate, you'll get counter hit launched as well. So same thing as before, press back to block or back to create some distance between you and your opponent. I know that's not always easy, especially versus characters like Nina and Hwoarang, who can just endlessly assault you and you don't really know if it's your turn, but you eventually find an opening, and it's better than getting counter hit launched. Watching pros at tournaments is always awesome, and some may even tell you to incorporate some of the things you learn from the pro players into your own game plan. However, that's easier said than done. You see, the experience at the top of Tekken is very different than what you'll be experiencing at the beginning. So hypothetically speaking, you've just seen a Kazuya play at a tournament and you've been blown away, and you want to incorporate some of the things into your game plan. So you want to utilize movement, you want to utilize stepping, the pokes, maybe even the crouch dash mix-up, the Wevu. However, at lower ranks, nobody's ever going to allow you to do that because they're going to be endlessly assaulting you with a bombardment of attacks. So in the beginning, you will actually be learning character matchups more and how to counter their gimmicks. A lot of beginners like to go online and watch these crazy combo videos and try to replicate these combos for themselves. However, a lot of work has to be put in, especially at beginner level, to learn these combos, and they may not even be that consistent for the little more damage they do. That's due to some conditions having to be in place, for instance being slightly to the left of your opponent or slightly right to your opponent, or the combo not even connecting at all because the character's hitbox is a bit smaller, like let's say Xiaoyu's. The game gives you enough actually here. You have the sample combos, and to top it off you also have the combo challenges, which I can recommend because over there you'll definitely find a combo you can execute that does enough damage and is consistent enough. What I can recommend you to get from online are the low parry combos of your characters, because unfortunately the game doesn't teach these to you. On a quick side note, there are these 10-hit combos in the game. I don't recommend learning them because yes, they may be effective at the beginning, but later on everybody knows how to counter them. Rage arts are a very good comeback mechanic, however they're risky and thus you shouldn't be throwing them out as a panic button. However, if your opponent is utilizing them in this way, then you can capitalize on the situation. When they're low on health, you can just bait them out by dashing towards them and not attacking, or you can utilize very quick moves like the one jab or the two jab to make sure that you you recover quick enough before the rage art can actually connect with you. The other problem I see people having is that they just can't help themselves from pressing the button because of course it's a single button. So maybe if you have that issue, you should consider getting rid of the shortcut itself under the controller input sections. So now you have to actually manually input the rage art, which is universally now for all characters down, forward, 1+2. So that about does it for this video. You guys know the drill by now. If you liked the video, leave a like. Consider subscribing because that helps me the most. This is your boy Jehuty, and I'll see you on the next one.
Don't forget to subscribe!